I'm live. Okay. Hello. Cohen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? Nice to meet you.
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Pretty good, man. It's been really busy the last couple of weeks, but welcome to the show, man, and welcome everybody tonight. Sorry about that. I just had someone show up at my door while you were here, so we're live now. This is Cohen, everybody. He's a viewer, subscriber, I take it. And he's going to talk to us about his experience with demons and the demonic and that kind of stuff. So why don't you introduce yourself, my friend, and you can just take it from there.
Okay. My name is Cohen, Mia Shireen. That's what I call myself. Basically, that's a name that I use instead of my real name. If anybody's ever seen anything dealing with me, I cover my face, and I cover my face not because I'm a coward or anything, but because I just believe that all glory belongs to God. And that's just me in a nutshell. Also, I'd like to say that I'm like Nick or other people where in the Bible you see mainly about Jews or Gentiles. There's also a third group of people which are heathen, and those would be, like gangsters, pimps, drug addicts, drug dealers, basically anybody that's an outcast from society.
It's like bad people.
I would just say, I wouldn't call, I feel that everybody's bad. Just some of us are trying to do good.
Okay.
Even Christ himself said, when they told him he was good, he said, "No one is good but my Father."
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't say that about them, but I know that this is the end times, and in the end times, they are the last people that God uses for his will and purpose, because the Jews have failed and the Christians now have failed, and basically the heathen will fail too. But it's just a chance for every, God wants his entire creation, not just one people. And really, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, once you come into a knowledge of God, you're really not any of those things but a child of God. So without ado, I'll just go ahead and I don't know if there's any questions you want to ask me about demonic stuff. I mean, because there's lots of things that I've been through.
Well, yeah, why don't you just tell us like some stories, or like, have you seen demons? Have you what are your experiences with them?
Okay. Well, I'll start off as a child. I would say about about 7 years old or so. I come from a family that I'm mixed. I'm actually mixed with a lot of different races. But my this side of the family is Spanish, and they were heavily into witchcraft.
Ooh.
And I didn't really know it at the time, but there was always strange things. Like when we'd go to my grandmother's house, we would see things like just weird things, like someone like a child running around the house would turn the faucet on and off. You would go into certain rooms, it would get real cold.
Just the faucet would turn on by itself?
It would turn on and off, yeah.
Wow. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, as a kid especially, there was rooms that we wouldn't go to unless, there was a couple of us. You just get your hair would stand on end, But lately here, I would say since 2010, God has opened my eyes to where I can actually see things like that at times. More so in the beginning than now. Now I just can kind of feel them, but I would explain it as this, that even though like you're sitting in your room and or I'm sitting in my room, or we're walking anywhere, like they're there,
So did your family practice like magical spells and stuff? Did they actually think they had like abilities?
Yes, and even to this day, there's certain family members that do believe that.
Hmm.
I've heard stories with my grandmother that my grandfather would be freaked out because he would come and see her talking to a family member that wasn't alive, and he would freak out because he would notice it, and the person would disappear.
Wow.
There's people in my family that believe that they can transport their spirit and go anywhere on this planet.
Oh, that's like astral projection or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you think that's real? Do you think that they can actually do that?
I think people can do those things, but not by their own power.
Yeah, for sure.
And same thing with witchcraft. As people think that it's them, they're trying to play God, but really they release, from what I understand, because even at one point in my life, I had dabbled in it, and what you find out is basically that you release things, and these things go and do whatever it is that you've asked, them to do. But even after you've done that, it still comes back on you.
Like demons and stuff, right?
Right. The same things will come back and attack you.
Like Aleister Crowley, he was big time into like demons. Like he thought he could control demons. Like he was like, really? I don't know much about him, but you probably do.
I've heard him, and I've read some of that stuff that they've said about him as far as that goes, and even I don't know how true it is because I haven't seen it anywhere in the Bible, and I haven't seen.
There's certain books like the Lesser Keys of Solomon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That even there's rumored that Solomon used demons to build the temple.
And this is like black magic. Yeah. So let's see what it says. The Lesser Keys of Solomon, also known as Solomonus Regius or Lemegeton, is an anonymous grimoire on demonology. It was compiled in the mid 17th century. So that's like the 1600s. So it's pretty old already, right?
Yeah, that's like pretty old.
400 and something years old. Mostly from materials a couple of centuries older. Oh, so this was compiled from stuff that's even a couple centuries older than that. It's divided into 5 books. But this is like bad stuff. The Lesser Keys of Solomon, this is how you summon demons. Like they go through and they list all the demons, the hierarchies. Like
correct.
Yeah, and see, here's all the crazy symbols. You start getting into all this crazy symbolism and stuff. Aleister Crowley was part of what was he part of? The Golden Dawn or some secret society, like I forget what it was called in England, right? That's how he started. The Order of the Golden Dawn or something. Actually, I just watched a documentary about him. And it was some big secret society, and they would practice this witchcraft, but like they claim they would do it for they claim they practice like white magic. There is no. I think it's all blasphemous, like all of it. But the guy said Aleister Crowley was like always wanting to like practice black magic and do like the bad stuff. So they tried to kick him out and like all this. So it's like this big documentary I watched, and I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe it all, but some of it sounds pretty crazy. That's for sure.
They definitely believe it.
They do. Yeah, they believe it for sure.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of them do start out with thinking that they can be good with it. But in the Old Testament, it says clearly like it's bad. It even goes as far as to say if you find someone like that, you're supposed to, eliminate them. But the good thing we don't live in those days anymore.
Well, the maids in his house like told crazy stories, and like he wrote all kinds of gross stuff about like kids and like all kinds of stuff. He was like a pedophile and everything.
Yeah, usually they are into some very, very sick stuff, like especially like Halloween. A lot of people don't know, but a lot of babies are sacrificed on Halloween. That's why I don't even try to, celebrate that day at all. But yeah, these people, like I said, I have an aunt that's like that, and she said that she was, a white witch, and but it all turns out bad. You're basically releasing demons that are going to come back on you and hurt other people. But normally, if you're a believer, they don't really have power over you. And there are ways to get rid of them, even when you come across real strong ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, there's demons for sure. Like Jesus even had control over the demons. Jesus talked about demons. So I definitely believe in demons. And I've been like, I used to suffer from sleep paralysis pretty bad, where I would see like really scary stuff that I thought were demons come over my bed and stuff like that. So I don't think I've ever been possessed by a demon, but I definitely think it could happen. Look at all the sick people out there, like serial killers, and like there's evil out there for sure.
Oh yeah. And honestly, that actually used to happen to me a lot, Nick. I used to actually have lots of sleep paralysis. I would wake up with things in my face, and all I could see is their eyes in the shadow. Yeah, it's things where you're just awake, but you can't move, but you can see everything around you.
Yeah.
Even to the point where I've had, like it seemed like my spirit was coming out of my body where it was floating. And
I had the cops come. I had the cops come. Someone called the cops on me because I was like yelling and screaming like from these demons. Because you're like awake, right? Like I was actually
yeah,
yelling, and someone thought I was like getting attacked. And the cops came. I was like all embarrassed. I just had to tell them I suffered from like night terrors or something. But my neighbors like called the cops on me one time. It was like so bad.
oh wow, yeah,
Yes. So that's how I
yeah.
know that you're like awake. You're not like dreaming it. Like you're like.
No, yeah, you're awake. You're totally awake.
I used to be able to talk to this girl, my ex-girlfriend that I lived with. I used to be able to talk to her when it was happening. I'd tell her to come shake me and like wake me up.
Yeah, me too. I used to tell people to do that too. Unfortunately, no one would ever come to my rescue, except one time not too long ago, 5 years ago. My dad actually saved me. I had a dream, and I was actually like I was walking to the refrigerator, and I kept walking to it, and then I started to go back where I was laying down. But then I realized, I couldn't get to where I was laying down, and my dad had to actually come and wake me up, and he was like, "You just kept screaming," and that's when I realized that something had happened to where I wasn't actually in my body, or something would had attacked me in a way that had caused that.
Yeah. I see someone in the chat called The Truth About Witchcraft and Demons. He should come on the show and join the conversation.
Absolutely.
I'll send you a link there. Your name is so long, I'll just call you Truth. But I think you emailed me before, didn't you? Anyway, sorry, bro. You can keep talking. So, like, when you were really young, you actually physically saw like demonic entities.
Yeah, I see a lot of things that I couldn't explain, but more so I've seen them a lot since 2010. I would say, to where I can see that they're around or they come by me, or like if you ever notice, like I don't know if you ever notice, like if there's a certain part in your city where it just always seems like there might be car accidents in that area.
Yeah, there are certain spots, but then I mean, if you look at strum it up to like the roads being dangerous in that area, sharp corners, stuff like that. But yeah,
Well, like where I'm at, there's a part of the freeway straightaway. It's for some reason there's just always accidents there, a lot, and what I saw is just something standing there, and they come in all kind of shapes and forms. So some of them are uglier than others, that I've noticed.
the one that used to come in my room all the time when I had sleep paralysis, he was tall and skinny, like really skinny, super pale white, really pale white, like long white face, not really any mouth features, but like big black, solid black eyes, no pupils, and he had like black hood, and he was almost like bony and like really creepy looking, man. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And sometimes he would come with like all these other little ones, if that makes sense. They sounded like beetles. Like you'd hear them like scurrying up and down all over the walls, and like he'd come with like these 8 little ones sometimes. It was really weird, man. And every time it used to happen, like before and after, it sounded like 2 people were like arguing really loudly right outside my bedroom window, like standing right outside my bedroom window arguing. And then as soon as I'd wake up, it would stop. But like I lived on like the 4th story, so there's no one standing outside my bedroom unless their legs are really, really, really long, right? So I started thinking like, I'm on the 4th story. There's no one outside my window arguing. Like, what's going on here? It's really weird. Okay, I got a couple people wanting to come on. Zozo, I don't even know what that is. Probably a demon.
You never know. That's especially like people use familiar spirits. The last guy when I was on, and we were talking, I forget his name now. The one that believes that you can sin and be perfect.
Oh yeah, that's Perry. He's something else.
Yeah, but like I noticed though, he does things like when I answer a question, he keeps answering the same question.
Oh yeah, he's got demons in him for sure.
Those are familiar spirits.
For
and
sure.
That's what he was using, and they know how to use them.
I cut him off. I'm done. I can't handle him. I don't even talk to him anymore.
Yeah, that's all you can do is pray for him. You know?
Yeah, he starts emailing me, bringing his kids into it, saying I hate his kids and all this. It's like, dude, I never ever once said one thing about your family except for love. So like, I just can't even deal with his nonsense anymore. So I don't even talk to him or talk about him really anymore. It's not even worth it. Like, he's completely lost. Like, God gives people over to reprobate minds, and like, I don't know, man. I've tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, and he's just like so deceived, and just like I can't deal with it anymore. So he can say whatever he wants about me. I'm just done. Tried, and he's just like so deceived. Echo there from you, Team Wiseman. I had to mute you because you're getting a lot of feedback.
But what I would really say is that since 2010, that these things are being released, and even more so now, because of all the witchery and sorcery and stuff that's going on, that's been shown to them by the fallen ones. Because if you read the book in the Old Testament, when they came down and showed us all these things, such as how to make weapons and sorcery, and they taught us all kind of stuff like the ancient man after Adam. And if you ever read the book of Enoch, I know a lot of people don't read it, but basically God tells them that he won't forgive them, and that's why, you know, everything that they did to the earth, that he was going to kill their children. But they live forever, so they're still here. That's how we get technology that we have. So when you think about aliens, those are the aliens. That's, if you ever look in the Bible and it has certain parts where it says alien, that's what it's basically saying, is these things are still here, the fallen angels.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that teach, you know, these people how to basically do the things that they're doing, and cause these different things to enter into the world.
Team Wiseman, you're having some audio problems. I'm going to unmute you. So, yeah. You don't have a microphone or headphones? Yeah, there's too much echo and feedback and stuff with your audio, my brother. I'm sorry. Catherine, I did send you an email. I think I've heard of the Sozo before. I don't know if that's just what we're calling it now. It's probably all just the same kind of demonic scum. I'm pretty sure, like Cohen was saying, these things are eternal, right? So
yeah, they're eternal.
It's not like they're breeding and creating like new offspring and stuff.
I'm not too sure about that. That would definitely be a mystery of God, but I would imagine that if you look at
they probably take on many names, many names, right? They're liars. They'll take on many different names, whatever people want to call them.
Yeah, they'll take on many names, but what I'm gonna say is that in the New Testament, I'm not exactly sure which part, but it says, you know, whether he gathers the wheat and the tare is basically Satan's children.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
All right, I cannot hear you though. Hold on a second. Let me get my. Okay.
Yeah, you can. Can you hear
I'm
us?
still not hearing you.
There's well, you can't hear me, but
I think he's hearing me, but I do not hear him. So.
Try and type this out.
Go ahead and turn that back up. To the volume up here. The volume on the speakers.
You go into your camera, your mic settings, make sure it's set to your laptop or your whatever speakers.
So,
You go into your camera, your mic settings, make sure you're
serious feedback.
Too much feedback, bro. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to figure this out some other time.
So, like with Perry, I was gonna say, if you look at
let me know when you get it figured out and shoot me. Come back into the room. Sorry, go ahead. You can keep talking.
What I was saying about Perry, about the, you know how he was talking about drinking. If you look at Isaiah chapter 28, which if you guys got time, because I usually don't go into the verse here, verse there. So I would always say whatever I say, I would, even if I give you just a couple, verses to read the whole chapter.
Isaiah 28.
Yeah, if you look at that one, it talks like what Perry was doing.
Oh yeah, Isaiah chapter 28. What do you know the verse?
Yeah, let me pull up my Bible here. I made sure I wrote these things down ahead of time here.
Perry, I don't like talking about people when they're not around, but
not like that, but just because it's not. I'm sorry, yeah, because that is true. But if there's a lot of people that are basically drinking and doing things like that. So if you look at
actually, Perry wrote me an email. Well, it was a Skype, and it said, "Wow, Nick, you hate my kids, eh?" And this is like after me not talking to him for months, and then he's like, "I released the devil on you about a month ago. I see it's doing his job." And that was the last message I got from him. So talk about Messiah complex, eh? Like Perry thinks he has the power to release Satan upon people and like putting words in my mouth. Like, how dare you bring your innocent children into this? Like, I feel so bad enough for those kids. You got them all brainwashed and stuff. And now you're going to start telling them that I hate them when I had no such hatred at all towards his poor kids, like at all.
Yeah, that is terrible. But I didn't mean to bring him like that. It's just you'll see a lot of people like that that just want to bring it to anybody's attention. That if you see that, you know what I mean. A lot of times it's just
that was the last message I got from Perry, so that's why it's like I'm done with him.
Got you. Yeah, I would. But if like Isaiah 28 talks about that, it basically talks about stuff like that. I'll bring it up. I would look at it. Let me see. Basically, right here, 28 verse 7.
Yeah.
Through 13.
All right. Perfect. I'll share it on the screen here. Yeah, I know. We were bringing up verses that like described him to a T too. Stuff about glorifying evil and like making sin okay and like being drunk and like it to a T. But those also reel with wine and stagger with strong drink. The priest and the prophet reel with strong drink. They are swallowed by wine. They stagger with strong drink. They reel in vision. They stumble in giving judgment. For all tables are full of filthy vomit with no space left. To whom will he teach knowledge? To whom will he explain the message? Those who are weaned from the milk, those taken from the breast? For it is precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little, yeah. For by people of strange lips and with a foreign tongue, the Lord will speak to this people to whom he has said, This is rest. Give rest to the weary, and this is the repose. Yet they would not hear. Yep, that sounds exactly like him.
And that's what was really going on right now. That's why you see all the false prophets and teachers and all kind of stuff that we never really saw before, like at least at this scale. And those are, a lot of them have familiar spirits or demonic entities that are teaching them these ways to corrupt the church. Because I don't know I know you've been had the Black Israelites on a couple of times.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of sick of that too, but usually once a week, every Saturday, we talk with them.
Right. So these things, not talking about them now, I forgot my train of thought, but Oh boy, where's it going with that?
I was going to do a show about all of these cult kind of groups they all have like certain similarities. You notice like all the cultish kind of groups, they're all King James only. They're all this like they all like for some reason they all just like to pick out certain words and read stuff out of context. They all like to twist the scripture to make it say what they want to say. Like they all have the same kind of similarities. I've noticed.
Right, and where you see that is basically because they're not all bad. There are some that don't believe like the ones that you're coming across.
Yeah,
and they do believe everything else, but it's just that right now this is what has been prophesied that God is talking about in the end times, and Christ said, that this was going to happen.
well, I got no problem with them being the true Hebrew people. I just don't see anywhere in the scripture or in history nothing that I see that proves that. You know what I mean?
Right. No, because that's the thing is because if you read that, it really says that it's not just one people. It says he scatters them throughout the whole earth. So how can it just be one area?
Over and over.
Right. It's the same thing for the other Jews that also are like that, and not all of them are like that. It's just certain ones. That's
why like 98 or 99% of them are not Trinitarian. They don't believe Jesus was God because you can't, because Jesus came for the whole world. Jesus never rejected one single person. Who did someone ever come to and ask Jesus for salvation and Jesus ever rejected them? Nobody.
Well, yeah, that's true too. And that's another thing is that's the thing also with the Jews is that the word also says that God made them like that on purpose, and not to try to punish them, but because if they did know and everybody did know exactly the truth, then all of us would be on our face knowing the truth.
Yeah.
But God's plans have to come out the way they're coming out. And if you notice, a lot of them say that, but there's a lot that don't. Christ only ministered to Jews. He only ministered to a couple other people outside of the Jewish faith. And that was because that's who he was sent to. That's what the prophecy says. But he ministered to the lady at the well, in which he told her she was a dog, you know what I mean? And it didn't matter if it was her or someone else. He would have said the same thing. That basically, I came for the chosen people, but she said, well, master, even the dog eats the crumbs from under the table. Mm-hmm. And that just let her, she was saying, well, yeah, she understood, but it wasn't really like that. What they don't understand was people always try to make it seem like he's belittling, but what he was always doing is testing your faith, because that's what God loves. That's why Abraham was loved. It said because he believed.
So Colin, why don't you tell us about your most recent experience with some kind of a demonic, let's try and bring it back onto the topic a little bit.
Sure, yeah. The main thing, let's see, just recently just happened to me would be just recently I had a dream, just Saturday actually, and it was totally demonic, wherein I couldn't move, and two entities were like in my face, like literally, like dang near lip to lip. And one of them said, "Kiss me." And I remember saying, "I can't kiss you. I'm a servant of the Most High God." And they got upset, and I still couldn't move. And they kind of backed off of me. But the next thing I knew, I was on the floor, and then I could feel like something that was like disgusting, like something was almost like licking or kissing my thigh.
Gross.
Or trying to. And the other one was looking, and its head was disfigured, like it was trying to scare me. But I wasn't scared because, like I said, I've been seeing a lot of these stuff anyway. And I couldn't really do anything. But I know I did want to basically do something, but I couldn't. And then I woke up, and I remember being very upset. That was actually Saturday before. Yeah, it was before yesterday. It was the 13th. And that had happened, and I woke up pretty upset because, like, whenever that happens, I get upset because I know that there's things that I can do to stop that. But I believe that the Sabbath is like a holy day, so there's certain things that you can't do on that day, and you're kind of restricted from it, whether you know it or not. So I wasn't able to actually do anything about what was happening. Like nowadays, I know how to battle these things.
Yeah, someone in the chat said something that makes sense. Like, it's true. It seems like the closer you get to God, sometimes the more they do harass you. Like, I've experienced that personally.
Oh yeah, the closer you are, of course, because they want to try to pull you away, or
Not all the time, but like, especially if you're just coming to God or whatever. Like, if you
oh
live
yeah,
a better life and you're, yeah, for sure.
and even if you are, they like to, especially if you're someone important, they're going to attack you because they don't want you to fulfill whatever prophecy God has for you, or whatever you're supposed to do for God. And a lot of times we don't know that. Like I never would have known that. I grew up a heathen. I had to raise myself at the age of 5. I helped try to raise my brother because my parents were constantly working. Next thing I know, I actually was born in England, and I moved to the States when I was about 4.
I was born in England too.
Oh, awesome. Which part?
London.
Oh, I was born in Oxford. Awesome. And basically, got into gangs, all kind of stuff, drugs, alcohol, even getting in the church and at a certain age. And then I remember, trying to stay in it. And then one day just telling God, you know what, if everybody's going to sin, I'm going to do the same thing. And I just turned my back on the church and did whatever I wanted to. So, but it wasn't until, like I said, about 2010 that my life changed. And from 2007 to then, I was under the most heaviest attack from demons. And I couldn't explain it. Like nothing would go right for me. I was really sick. I would go places and then people would just do things to me and there was nothing I could do. And I didn't realize it, but it was basically demonic entities trying to do things to me, even to the point where I was even suicidal at one point. And I had to actually go into the loony bin. And in there, you see all kind of demonic people. I mean, I'm pretty sure I met the devil in somebody at that point. I'll just tell you the story. Basically, I was in there.
And how come they put you in there? Because you were seeing demons and they thought you were crazy?
No, because I was suicidal and I had made 2 attempts on my life, and I was.
That's what they try and get you to do, eh? The demons.
Yes, they try to get you to do these things, and
they got you.
They basically almost got me. It was just a good thing that God had me, and he was actually with me the whole time though, and he allowed me to go through the things I was going through. So it was a little different than someone else that doesn't have them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what got me in there. So basically, if you try to do that and you tell anybody about that, that's where you go. I didn't know that's where they take you. That's just where I wound up. That's where they take you. So if you try to commit suicide, if anybody's listening, all right, first off, I wouldn't do it. It's a waste of your time. The second thing is they're going to put you in the loony bin if you tell anybody. That's where they put you. And then you're going to come across whatever you're running from. And so basically this guy, he was an older man, and he seemed nice or whatever. But I would notice that every now and then, somehow he would get in fights. Like people would beat him up. Like he would just get on people's nerves or something, to where he would get in physical altercations. But he was like real frail. You wouldn't think this of this guy. And he comes to you real nice, and I had been reading the word. So one day he asked me to go to his room and talk to him. So I did. And, we started talking about the Bible, and apparently he went to church too. And I didn't think anything of it, but, I started reading him scriptures, and then he told me, hey, you know what? With your anointing, me and you could go and rule all the churches. And I said, I can't do that. That's That's would be wrong. That's not what God's word is for. Is to help people and spread his word, because he wants his children. And he got real mad and he started cursing me and basically told me to get out of his room. And also his eyes changed. I don't know if you've ever seen, sometimes when you're talking to people, if you ever see their eyes change where they turn into cat's eyes, you know they're possessed.
I've never seen that, but I've seen like evil in people's eyes for sure.
Yeah, you can see the evil in some people, but there's certain people that I never seen it until, like I said, till these times. I've seen somebody
freak me out, like the lizard eyes, like
yeah, something similar like that. It would freak you out if God hadn't grabbed me, and I was not in the word like I was at that time. I would have been freaked out. I would have probably screamed or whatever, or just tried to get away and been in fear. But I guess what he was showing me that these things are real. So this guy's eyes changed, and I got out the room. But then he came back another time, and I was in my room, and he's asking to come in, and I was like, fine. And I remember my roommate. We had a couple of roommates because you have to share rooms with people. He's like, dude, don't let him in. And I was like, just let him in. And I let him in. He's like, man, why'd you do that? He left, he ran. Everybody ran out the room. So he came in and we started talking, and we had a conversation. He was calling me fat or something because I was really heavy then. And he was like, he's like, you're fat and this and that. And I said, well, something came over to me where I said, well, what are you going to do when the famine hits? I said, you're going to starve to death. I said, I won't, because I have lots of food on me. And this guy literally looked at me and his eyes changed, and he says, no, I wouldn't. He said, because I would kill you and eat you.
Oh, that's gross.
And so that was my first experience with a demonic entity being in somebody, like literally just in somebody. I knew at that point that this man was demonized, or even actually I feel like it was actually Satan himself, because the way he carried himself, it was real slick, the way he would talk, and I don't know if anybody's ever had a battle with the devil, or God forbid anybody has to, but I would tell you, don't even waste your time talking to him, because I
wouldn't want to talk to him.
Yeah, no, and that's what he does. He basically will out-talk you, and so I felt like that was him.
I heard that Satan himself looks really good. Like he's a deceiver, right? He's the greatest of all the deceivers. Like you wouldn't even. I guess he appears to people in different ways.
Yeah, well, he talked a fourth of the angels out of heaven. So that's what he does. That's what he's for. He's basically
you wouldn't know it was Satan until it was too late.
Probably. Probably.
That guy sounds demon possessed. Maybe it was Satan, but he's probably just a demon or got a demon in him or something.
Yeah, it's just like I've seen other ones since then, other people like that, but they're usually not that savvy. They're more violent or really out of their mind in the things they're doing, or they're so busy in whatever they're doing. I've had people come to my house actually, and I know they're possessed, and sitting there doing rituals by my wall to curse my house. I've seen all kind of stuff since 2010. So that's why I think like he probably was something more like Satan himself.
There's a documentary on Netflix called The Devil on Father Amaroth. Have you heard of it?
I haven't heard of that.
It's pretty good, man. He was like, I'll bring up who he is. He went around and he did exorcisms on people, and he was trained way back when it was like Vatican I, like before he left the Vatican and stuff, because he didn't agree with, like, he doesn't like the new Pope, doesn't like Vatican II. He thinks they all love gay people. They're all breaking all the rules or whatever. Like, I'm not a Catholic, but he got his training. Like, they're the only ones that actually train priests to do exorcisms and stuff.
That's true. They are the only church that actually performs exorcisms.
And this guy said he's seen like crazy stuff. You guys should watch the documentary on Netflix. He actually, people think he got killed by a demon. They found him on the floor by this little ladder, and everyone thinks he got like pushed off physically and killed by a demon. And like, there's some crazy stuff on that documentary. Like he goes and does exorcisms on like 6-year-old girls, and like it's just like the stuff that these girls are like saying and like the gestures they're making with their tongue is like so disgusting and like pornographic and like just stuff that like a 6-year-old girl would not know. And then she starts like babbling out like ancient Latin, like all crazy stuff, dude. Like there's demons. Like he went around like doing exorcisms like for people privately, you know, without the Catholic Church's consent, right? Because he was like not down with what happened to the church, and he thinks it's all infiltrated by Satan and yeah.
So that's pretty much what happened to all the churches, even the synagogues. That's why I see a lot of it happen. That's why I tell people don't blame the church, because there are some good churches out there. Just some of them have been infiltrated, you know, and that's why you see that the things that you see. That's why you see them fail. That's why you see the different problems they have with the pedophile. Pretty much, I'll just say adultery, period, because that's all under the same roof there. Murder, all that stuff. That's why you see those things, and it all has to do with demonic entities.
I think there's different. Some sins are worse than other sins. I think because Jesus Christ himself even said, who did he say it to? Was it Pontius Pilate? He said that there's like one sin that would like outweigh other ones. Like he made it clear, like some sins are worse than other sins. Well, it makes sense. It makes sense to me too. Like you go murder like 10 innocent people, or you like say a swear word or tell a lie. I think one is worse than the other. You know what I mean? Like anyone with common sense can figure that out. So
no, that's true. Well, in my understanding is basically the worst sin is basically against God himself.
Yeah.
So that's the main one. The rest of them, he always said, if you break one, you break them all. And yes, of course, to us, you know, there are definitely ones that are worse, such as murder and, you know, raping people. Any harm to any other human being is just basically bad. I would put that, you know, underneath the first one. But definitely, the more you sin, the more you open the doors for these things to get in you and then cause you to do worse things. So yeah.
When Jesus was on trial before Pontius Pilate, he said, "Who delivers me onto you has the greater sin." So he's like, he said the word himself, greater sin.
Yes,
so
of course.
If all sins were equal, then Jesus wouldn't say, "Who delivers me onto Pilate has committed the greater sin." You know what I mean? So
right, and what he's saying there is basically for delivering him up like that, which he was talking to the Pharisees and Sadducees, who had basically came up with the plot to, you know, have him crucified. And Pontius Pilate didn't want to do it, but it didn't matter. Just crucifying it was going to be a sin because he was innocent, and that's what he was definitely talking about. I would definitely say that he was definitely saying that.
Some people say, like movies I've seen where like he didn't want to do it, but I honestly don't think Pontius Pilate even had a problem. He probably killed so many people, man, back then in Rome. He was responsible for so many people getting crucified.
Oh, of course, I don't think he probably would lose no sleep over it because he had done all that stuff. But I know we do know that he didn't want to do it. That's why he washed his hands. But he could have stopped it. But you know, everybody's always worried about, well, what's going to happen? Is everybody going to riot if I don't do this? Is the government Caesar going to come down on my head? You know, who knows what he was thinking. But I'm not trying to give anybody excuse or anything. And at the same time, we do know that it was going to happen, because if you read Psalms 22, it actually testifies of that happening. Not saying that Pontius Pilate was going to do it, but it basically shows that
apparently his wife was the one that was like having dreams and stuff about him and trying to get him to do it. He didn't really care.
No, I don't think like I said, I don't think he lost any sleep. No. And if you noticed, the only church that has a crucified picture of Christ being crucified in it is the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And that's basically to their shame for doing that.
Pilate declared that Jesus was innocent and condemned him to death by crucifixion.
Mm-hmm.
So you declare someone's innocent and then say, yeah, crucify him. How much can you really care about him, right?
Well, you could say that, you know. The only part is when he washes his hands. You know what I mean? It shows just, like I said, it's not a big deal to him. But he's like, dude, like, just to get you guys out my hair.
Yeah,
that shows that he doesn't care. You know, just to get you out of my hair.
It had to happen anyway, like you said. It was
right.
It was all prophesied, like it's part of the story. So
we all know it was going to happen, and it had to happen.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change, you know, what happened. That was, we all know what happened after that. How, you know, the Jews were scattered from Israel completely, and I would say that the whole world. That's when the Dark Ages began. You know, if you think about it, and you know, things you probably really heard about all the demonic stuff back then. You know,
yeah, it'd be crazy. It's going to be crazy during the tribulation. That's what's going to be crazy.
Well,
demons
yeah,
let loose like upon the world. There'll be like demons everywhere. It'd be so scary.
Yeah, that's what it seems like is happening right now. I mean, if you look at it, look at the way people are acting. Look at the things they're doing.
Yeah,
you can see it, but you can't see it at the level that you're talking yet. But then again, why are we all walking around with masks?
Yeah, but there's no way we're in the tribulation yet. It says a time will come upon the earth like none like have we ever experienced. It'll be suffering and famine, and like it'll be like nothing we've ever experienced. Like it'll be so horrible, so terrible. There's no way that we're right in the middle of the Great Tribulation right now. Like I'm living pretty comfortable here in Canada. You know, I'm not rich, but I got heating, I got food, I got a vehicle. You know,
that's true.
So
that's true.
Not suffering through a Great Tribulation.
Well, that's true, because that's why it's called the Great Tribulation. And for the people that truly believe, I know last time they were saying that there's no tribulation. I forgot what it was. So there's no rapture.
No, we're not in the tribulation right now. There's no way, dude.
But Jesus, he mentioned the rapture. But the whole thing is, we're not in the Great Tribulation. We are in a part of the tribulation, because we're seeing the beginnings of it. That's what the birth pains and all that stuff is talking about.
I agree with that.
It's just not the exact. And we're headed to the middle right now. There are some things that are going to transpire. The 4 horsemen are loose, and that was another weird thing. I'll go to that right now, because otherwise we'll get into something else. But I think I had sent you an email a while back. And what made me say that email was I was in my backyard, and I was sitting and I was praying, and my parents had just come to visit me. And I remember hearing the Lord's voice, and he said, I need you to get on the ground, and I need you to lay down and do not get up. Whatever happens, whatever you see, do not get up. And as I did that, I saw a vision while I was praying, and it was an uncountable multitude of creatures that I cannot explain. However, right when they came upon me, there were forces that were holding them back. But there was one creature on a black horse, and it was death. He was right there, and he was going to basically cut me down, and I didn't move. I had to stay there for a while until he was removed. That was also one of the things that I just saw. And that's after that, then I got God's message to, you know, do some of the things I do. I do a lot of weird stuff. I don't even like to do it, man. I really don't. I just fear God. I just really fear God. So
what do you mean weird?
Like for me to send emails to people or even speak about some of the stuff I'm speaking about, these things are unbelievable to a lot of people. And that to me is in a sense, you know, that I don't want to try to burden people, or I don't want people thinking I'm crazy. But at this point in time in my life, I'm more afraid of God than anything. So if I believe that he's telling me to do something, I'm going to do it, you know, to the best of my ability. So that's why sometimes I'll contact people, or even now I prophesy on certain things, even on my channel. Sometimes I have videos up there that I take down, but I don't have a lot of subscribers. I'm not really looking for a lot of subscribers, but there's times when I do put them up there because I know somebody's going to get the message and they're going to spread it, and the same thing.
Yeah. Right now, I think we're in the beginning of the birth pains.
Okay, and that's definitely. I would definitely agree with that. I just, I definitely know that that's definitely right. It's just
because we can go to Matthew 24, I think it is. And there's a couple different places where it talks about it, but let's bring some up. Some of it definitely lines up. Like I believe in the end times, for sure. Like it says. He's sitting there on the Mount of Olives with his disciples, and they want to know what is going to be the sign of your coming, of the end of age. And Jesus answered them, "See that no one leads you astray, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and lead many astray," which has been happening now for years.
Right.
And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, which has been happening for years. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. It hasn't really happened yet, right? That part, I don't think. Nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom. That's like World War II, World War I. So,
well, no, we haven't got exactly to that part. No,
there's been wars and there's little wars and rumors of wars and squabbles all over the place, and there's definitely earthquakes in diverse places are starting to happen. But like, I don't think we've seen like a major world war yet, where like nation has gone like. You know what I mean? China and Russia or something versus the States and Canada and England, like boom, that would be like nation.
Correct. And you're absolutely right. And for something like that to happen,
plus I just want to say one more thing. No one, I don't know anyone that's like gotten the mark of the beast. Well, some people say it's a chip and stuff, but Christians haven't been like grabbed and dragged out of their houses and executed and stuff yet. Not here, as far as I know.
No, and that would be after the rapture.
Yeah.
That would be after the rapture. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. From my understanding, what I understand, and I can't really prove a lot of the stuff I'm saying. Some of it I can back up in the Bible, like what you just said. If you go to Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6.
I just want to say something in the chat, Melvin.
Sure.
It's not good to make date predictions like that. Like every single time someone has ever made a date prediction, it's failed. Like it says it says right in the same chapter that no one knows the hour or the time when this is going to happen. So
no, we don't know. We don't know when Christ's coming. Absolutely.
Going to happen. Like I don't know, man. We'll see you in 3 years. Probably not.
If we see that, it could be tomorrow. It could be a week from now. It could be a year, 2 years, 10 years. But we don't. You definitely don't know. That I would never say those things either.
Oh well, we got Melvin says he believes the tribulation has happened. Dude, do you think we've already gone through the tribulation? There's no way.
What I was going to say about that for the wars that happen. See, that's one thing. Man thinks that they're going to be the one to, especially the Antichrist, believes that he is going to be able to cause these things to happen, and it's not going to happen that way. The earthquakes in diverse places and stuff like that, that's what's going to cause it. The famines, people having to fight for food, that's what's going to cause these big wars.
And Melvin, I'm not saying stuff you didn't say. You just said 2024 will be the end and beginning of the wrath period. All I'm saying is every time someone makes a prediction about anything like that, it usually doesn't come true. Even if you're not saying that's not the end of the world, it's still like, what was the last prediction? That giant solar flare that happened, that people said the corona mass ejection that's going to happen and cause a huge EMT and like wipe everything out, and it's going to be the beginning of all this and that. I've been hearing this growing up my whole life, so like
that's happened several times.
I know that, yeah, but it didn't end.
That doesn't knock anything out though.
So like I know that we're going to go through tribulation, we're in the birth pains, but I'm definitely not like the type of person that is going to like be like, yeah, the end is definitely going to happen in 2 years from now, or like we've already gone through this or that, because like every time, if you look back in history, every time any religious group has said that, it's all failed, every single one. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. And that's even Christ said, I don't know when I come back, only my Father does.
Yeah, even Christ said himself, like, no man knows, and that's the reason why all the predictions have been wrong. So
Right. And that's why I say, but we know we're in the end times because you look at all the diverse places. But if you look at Isaiah 29, verse 6, that's when it says God is going to visit. And there's a couple places in the minor prophets that say when God comes down from his habitation, and these things will start happening because he's going to visit everything on this earth. And that's what's happening right now. You see, God is here right now,
Isaiah
visiting the
29.
earth. Yeah, verse 6.
You think God has come back?
That's the only way the earth does the things it does. See, because he's that's what's happening. So if you look at, I would read the whole chapter, but if you look at Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6, it'll tell you right there.
Bro, the second coming, like it says, everyone will know. Like he's not coming back in secret.
Well, a lot of people. Well, I'm not talking about this. Is God clearing a path for his son to return. Okay. This isn't Christ.
Oh, okay.
That I'm speaking of. This is God basically returning to clear a path and visit everything that's going on down here, just like he did with Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, okay.
He came down when Abraham was visited. If you notice, the 3 visitors, he came. If you notice, Abraham fell on his face, and they didn't tell him to get up. Normally, an angel or anybody else tells you to get up. I'm just a normal person, or I'm just an angel. He did not tell him to get up. That was God, his son, and the Spirit. And that's just from my interpretation. I mean, you could read it yourself, or, I can't really prove that. That's just my interpretation of it. Because anywhere else you see when someone gets on their face in front of an angel or a person, they always tell, especially a disciple or a prophet, they tell them to get up because they're just a normal person.
So, is there anything else you'd like to talk about with the demonic?
Anything you got? Any more questions?
You said you were practicing witchcraft for a while.
Not for a while, but I would say for about a year or two.
That's
and
scary.
That would have been in 2000. I want to say 2000. Actually, it was before that. It was actually before the 2 towers.
Back then.
Yeah.
So you were trying to like cast spells and stuff like that.
Well, I was at a point in my life where and I had just totally went the wrong way, because like I said, I had already went away from the church and stuff like that. I basically had went into the, every religion leads to God. And I started to do different things. And then that's when I picked up the witchcraft. And I was at a point in my life where I was like, you know what, dude, I don't have enough. I want to be rich. You know what I mean? So I was trying to do spells to get money. And I tell you, I got a little bit of money, but the things that transpired before that happened were so wicked.
Really?
I lost 2 cars at one time.
Wow.
Me and my wife constantly had problems. I had problems that I can't describe.
Yeah, that's fine. So this actually worked?
I wouldn't say it worked because I didn't get rich.
No.
It was just a little bit of money, maybe a couple tens of thousands of dollars. But I wasn't rich.
I've heard of stories of guys like selling their soul and like saying for $1 million, you take $1 million and live 10 years. And if he could live 10 years as a millionaire, he'd be happy. And like it actually happened. He like won the lottery the next day. And like it freaked him out. And he I'm pretty sure he died. He got cancer and died.
That happens. That definitely happens.
So what you just like tell us what you can, like without getting too
what do you want to know?
How do you do like this? Like how do you do this? Is there like books or like how do you learn?
Yeah, basically well, first off, like I said, my family was already involved with it. So that's already an open door.
For a long time.
My great grandfather was a Mason. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the cult, but I do know that him and my great grandmother both practiced witchcraft.
What about your parents?
I don't know about my dad, but I don't know about my mom. They're kind of real secretive, so I wouldn't really know, but I do know there's other people in the family that did do that. And that's what opened the door for it. So, and then also at that time I was contacted by psychics, so I would deal with astrology and stuff like that. And then they would say, oh, well, here's these books, why don't you buy this book? It teach you how to do these different spells and stuff to help your life balance out and get things you want. And that's how it all started.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got rid of that real quick once that,
So don't you have to do bad things to?
No, that's the thing is that they don't start if Satan showed you like that, a lot of people probably wouldn't even get involved. So they try to make it seem like it's it's minor, it's nothing. It starts out with good stuff. You're doing this for good things, to help yourself, to help your family, to help your health. To protect you from other people doing these things against you.
And then the deeper you get into it, the worse it gets?
Probably the deeper you get into it. I didn't go that deep. It only took those 2 cars to get wrecked and my relationship to be going down the tubes to change that.
Yeah, because I heard of like human sacrifice and like all kinds of crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, that's when you get into other stuff. That would definitely be when you're I can't even really say because these days everybody gets offended. But I would say that would deal with people that are involved with cults that believe that sacrifice of any kind of creature or person, especially children, do that.
There's all kinds of stories that you get power when you do that. Like, I don't know though.
Yeah, I if you got power, they probably wouldn't keep doing it. I mean, how much power would you need? I mean, it probably makes them feel powerful.
Who knows?
But, that's definitely people that are on the wrong path.
Yeah, definitely. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but like where I go is just basically I just tell everybody it's something you don't want to get into because you do open the door for spirits to come through, and any one of them will testify to this. Whatever you do comes back on you. It comes right back to you, except it comes back more than what you did. So you'll actually get punished more than whatever you gave out to somebody else.
That's good that you're not practicing it anymore. That's for sure.
Oh no, praise God to that. I mean, even though I stopped, I still was living in sin. It probably opened the door for more stuff. Like I said, I was definitely heavily in drugs and alcohol and doing all kind of stuff. But it wasn't till 2010 when my life changed. That's why I said everything changed. In 2008 or 7, when all that stuff started to happen to me, there was a lot of bad stuff. Like I said, wasn't possible for people to do. Like a lot of people believe in the Illuminati and all this stuff. Well, nobody has that much power. I'm not going to believe that. And even in Judaism, there's no such thing as coincidence. These were basically entities attacking me and anybody else that starts to serve the Lord for this reason, because they don't want you to do what you're supposed to do. They don't want you to do that at all. And when God got me, I mean, I was broke down to, I was crying. I was out of it. Like I said, I didn't want to live anymore. And he came, got me, and he showed me what I know now. And ever since then, my life is good. I have no problem. I'm not going to say I don't have no problems, but I have a life that it's incredible. I'll say that.
That's good, man. Good for you.
Yeah, and anybody can have it, and you could these demons. It's nobody should be scared of them. You have Christ. He'll show you what to do. Just like if you just read his word, like the one parts where his disciples couldn't cast out the spirit, he said fasting and prayer. That's true. Fasting and prayer. When you fast and pray, and a lot of times you can't do these things by yourself. Sometimes God will put you on these things. But the fasting and prayer it helps you battle them a lot easier. And actually, I could give you something. in the Catholic Bible, or in I don't know what other book has it too, but even in the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's a book of Tobit, if anybody's familiar with it. And in Tobit goes to get a wife, and his wife is actually has had several husbands, and every time that they marry her and they're about to go in and know each other, the husband would die.
Succubus.
Right. So basically Tobit goes on this journey. He's going to marry her, and on his way he meets this one guide that goes with him. It turns out to be Raphael the angel. But Raphael starts telling him things. So basically he goes by a river, make things short, and the fish comes out the river, tries to eat him. Well, he wrestles with the fish, catches the fish, and he's going to throw the fish away. And, Raphael tells him, don't do that, eat the fish, we'll eat the fish, but most of all, take the heart and the liver. So, he said, and then, keep it. And later on, he tells him, okay, here's what you do when he finally gets to his wife and he's going to marry her. He says, before you do anything, this is what you do. You take that fish heart and the liver and you burn it like incense, and you stand and you pray to God. And that right there is how you can get rid of any demon. They don't like the smell of it. I've done it. They don't like the smell of it. And basically what happens is
they don't like the smell of what? Sorry?
Fish heart and fish liver burnt.
Oh, who does? I don't like the smell of that either.
Right. So basically, after that, that's basically releases the demon for the angels to get them and take them away and chain them.
Just burning up some fish heart and liver? That would smell good. Right?
Yeah, that's how you can get rid of anything in your house or anywhere. If you have any kind of problems with that, you could do that.
Well, that's good to know for anyone that's got a haunted house.
Yeah.
You ever had any experiences like that with like paranormal activity or whatever they call it?
Yeah, that I said, my grandmother's house was like that. My parents' house actually in 2009 burnt down. And before that happened, my mom was telling me that she heard voices talking to my dad, telling him that they were gonna, kill him or something. And like about a week later, that's when the house burnt down. They were saved or whatever, and they got a new house.
Wow.
Even this house right here that I'm living in now, actually somebody passed away in it, and I didn't think nothing of it. We had a priest come bless it or whatever, but there was weird things that would happen in here. If you would take pictures, you'd see orbs or you would feel things. I had a cat that would actually go and actually it would chase things in the air. Like you see it jump up and it was trying to get something, but there's nothing there. I had another apartment where these same orbs or whatever, that's when I believed, like ghosts or whatever. Now I just know they're demons. But in this apartment, these orbs would be here. And for some reason, downstairs there was an apartment, and whoever moved in that apartment, husband and wife, they would always argue and wind up splitting up. It never failed. I don't care how many people moved in there, they would be, do that. Another thing I would say is in 2000, I don't know if you remember the, what was that? With the hurricane in New York.
What do you mean ghosts? I'm just talking to the chat. Ghosts are not biblical. Well, there's the Holy Ghost, and Jesus talks to demons himself, so I'd say they are biblical.
What hurricane was that hit New York?
Not too sure.
Oh gosh, it was the big one when Giuliani was the mayor. It was in 2008 or something. Anyway, I went on a trip to South Carolina. And on this trip, it was just storm after storm that we were riding through. It didn't stop, where there was fog. And sometimes in this fog, you would see these these things, like just uncountable multitudes of creatures. I even had one. There was in 2000 and I don't know, about 2012. No, 2018, November, Thanksgiving, and I was sitting talking to somebody, and I remember seeing this creature or whatever that I was told was going to come and attack me.
Yeah.
And basically, when I was talking to this guy, it started to happen. Basically, what happened was birds started flying around like crazy, like if something was after them.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing around. It was a clear day, no wind, sunny. But they were acting like scared, like terrified. And I had never seen these birds. And I live in California, in Los Angeles, and I had never seen no birds like this before. And I just remember that night that it was a pretty bad night for me. Like I was doing things I don't normally do, because it had been a battle for me for a while, trying to come off some of the alcohol and drugs and stuff. And that night I decided to go ahead and like have a drink or two. And like I just had 2 drinks or something like that, or not even a lot, like something that back in the day I would be able to handle normally. And I just remember getting real sick. And then when I got home, it came again. And I just remember it had a lot of eyes. It was extremely large, like extremely big. And basically the angels took it away.
Wow, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I feel crazy even saying it. But it's
cool to hear, though.
What happened. And that's probably, I mean, I've had so many more different type of encounters. But mostly the main ones that I've had is like you said, the paralyzed where you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main one.
That's
and I know I think it's because you're most vulnerable because you're asleep. You know, you're not doing anything.
Yeah, well, your brain goes in. It's almost like, I don't know, man. When you sleep, well, your brain goes into different frequencies. We know that, but when you dream, it's like you're conscious, but you're not. It's a really weird kind of place where your consciousness is at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. 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 I would definitely say that.
So it probably opens you up a bit for like these entities and stuff to attack you more, because it's almost like you're kind of like half in their world in a way. I don't know. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, that would definitely. That's the way I would describe it. Like I said when I was saying with the car accidents, there's something standing there. That's how it is. They're all around you at all times. There's all kind of things around us that we can't see, but they're there at all times. You know, and that's definitely, like you said, when you go to sleep, you're definitely probably in a different realm. There's things that happen that you can't explain.
Everyone that's watching Mrs. Hines has a crazy rapture dream or something she had that she wants to share with us. So after this show, I'll start a show called Vivid Rapture Dream, and you're all welcome to come if you want.
Yeah.
So does anybody have any questions or anything for Cohen? Oh, don't worry, Pam. I don't have a problem with losing too much weight. Never had that problem in my life. Maybe once. I work out a lot at the gym and stuff, so it's not like I'll just waste away to nothing. I just eat the right stuff. I don't eat as much. Does anybody have any questions for Cohen? Ronald, do you What's his YouTube channel called? Do you have a YouTube channel, Cohen?
Yeah, it's basically my name that you see on the screen, but there's no videos up there yet.
Okay, that's a question from Ronald. You're speaking the truth, Cohen. Thank you, Ronald. If anybody else has any questions, ask them out now, and I'll ask for you. And if not, you guys should come to the show with Mrs. Hines. Mrs. Hines, I will send you an email after, a link to the show. I just want to rename it so that way people who are searching for it after can find it, right? Because it'll be a totally different topic. Yeah, all right. Well, I don't see any questions from anyone.
No problem.
So thank you very much for, unless there's more stuff you want to talk about, we've only been going for like an hour and 15 minutes.
I mean, it's up to you guys. I mean, like I said, it's better if people just have questions for me to say things or answer, because like I said, there's been so many things that would just almost be impossible to say everything.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder if I have anything to ask you. I don't know, man. I think I asked you everything about like paranormal activity. You said faucets used to turn on and off in your grandparents' house.
Yeah, there's a little kid. Come to find out, there was a child that was murdered in the house.
Oh, really? That sucks.
Right. That always sucks. Anybody dying, especially little kids.
Yeah.
But these are, those are the times when we didn't have a lot of the stuff we have now. It was like people want, all these police not to be here and all these different things, but imagine how it would be, because we could just look back at the Wild West and the rest of the stuff. It would just be lawless, and the things that would happen would just be ridiculous.
It would be worse than the Wild West. They had a law in the Wild West. They had sheriffs and they hung.
That's true. That's true.
There would be anarchy if there was no law.
Yeah, exactly.
Total anarchy.
So, like, just think back in the days when you had more. I mean, everybody should have their privacy, but to the point where people just did, like, the secret societies could really operate back then. Now it's like if you're doing anything in secret, it's really hard to stay that way these days.
Yeah, well, I'm an ex-dope dealer, so I've had some really bad experience with the cops myself, but I even agree that if there was no cops and no law, it would be complete, total chaos and anarchy.
But yeah, definitely, like you were saying though, by being in this part of the tribulation before the Great Tribulation, there's definitely entities that are loose, and they are wreaking havoc. And I can tell you, in the last, I want to say 5 months, it's gotten worse. So if you ever feel those type of things coming on you that don't seem normal, that's what it is, and that's definitely a time you should be praying. Trying to just keep praying for these things to leave you alone, because they're out and they're doing what they're doing, and that's why everything is happening the way it's happening.
Yeah.
Because
there's definitely good and evil, and like I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Like all these serial killers and weirdos are just demon possessed, or what?
I mean, yeah, we could say that they have an issue.
Probably. That's like why else?
But that's how normal people describe things. People that don't understand these things, and even some people that do, because there's people that don't read the word, that practice witchcraft or other things, that believe this thing that people are possessed with something or a ghost. That's where you see all that stuff. Yeah. They don't. They definitely are rampant. Yeah, and that's why you do see that.
A lot of people that aren't like Christian or whatever, however you want to call it, they probably start messing around with like witchcraft and like Ouija boards and like
Ooh, yeah, especially that.
Yeah, and then it gets in like that, right?
Oh yeah, especially that board.
Yeah.
You should never be trying to contact these spirits because they don't have any allegiance to anything, and they're definitely gonna, that's when you're opening the door. You open the door for all that.
You ever mess with that stuff or what?
I actually did in high school, but we did not actually play with a board. I think some girl that showed us, we would actually draw it on a paper.
Really?
And yeah, we would do that. And, it never really worked for me. I didn't really believe like that, but they would really believe that stuff. And I didn't really realize it, but now I do. I realize that, hey, you're opening doors. You're opening doors to things that you don't understand. And even though you may not feel it then, or you might not understand it at all. That's why you do dumb stuff at times.
Mm-hmm.
It's not you. You're not in control because you've allowed something to come into your life that, you don't have the strength to fight. There's no way any of us can fight. I know now that I can fight against these demons and devils, but it's not by my own power. It's not by anything that I can do. It's just because God is with me, and Christ has made it possible,
Yeah, amen. Sorry, I'm just setting up this other show.
No, you're good.
It's been real interesting to talk to you, bro.
Yeah.
Coming on.
Not a problem.
So did you say your parents are still doing the witchcraft?
No, not my parents. That was my grandparents have passed away.
Yeah. They never like abused you or anything like that?
No, they never really abused me. I don't know. I don't think they did. I felt like I would probably been more neglected, but I was pretty mature for my age. So, yeah, but people used to call me actually. I didn't ever talk about that, but like I was like pretty smart, I guess. Even in kindergarten, at kindergarten I could already read at the 5th grade level. I knew my times tables to 12, and I actually, the teachers used to call me like a demon and stuff, because I was smarter than the rest of the kids. And, I used to have stuff like that happen. Other than that, my parents, I would tell my parents, but they wouldn't really believe me.
Yeah.
But it was just because they were scared of something they didn't know. They didn't realize that my mom had actually been spending some time with me to do that. But, I picked it up fast. But my parents weren't that bad. They just, like I said, they just did the best they could. And
well, that's good because you hear a lot of bad stories about that kind of stuff.
No. I didn't know. No. Now they had worse stories to tell than me.
Yeah, I bet.
But I wasn't that bad. Other than the fact that I was allowed to do what I wanted to, which allowed me to go into a life of sin and do things, And now I realize that wasn't me. That was, other things that I had allowed for me to open the door for that. Because,
Okay, man. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to another room. Thank you so much.
Okay, you got it.
You're more than welcome to come hang out and listen.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Hines, if you're still here, I'm gonna send you a link. So everybody that's watching, just go to my channel and join the Vivid Rapture Dream. I hope to see you guys there. Okay.
All right.
I'm just going here. Hold on. Hello, Catherine.
Hey. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Good.
Got something you want to say?
Yeah, I finally figured. Actually, on your new topic.
Oh, the other show. Okay. Okay. Well then.
Yeah, I do have a story. I do have a story that could go into when we had a house that me and my children lived in with my parents. And some weird things started happening. And we're mostly, through our family, I call it a curse sometimes, because I'll go in and out of realms when I'm asleep. And usually it's a child that I'm saving, or a woman. I've been stabbed, shot, drowned multiple times. Yeah. To where sometimes I get so tired that my archangel has to come and get me.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it is. My mother was a receiver, and she would feel people's pain. And my grandmother was a traveler, and so it's just the
What's a travel?
nature. Traveling is like myself. I go into other realms. I'll go into. Here's a story. Here's my first story, Nick.
Okay.
I'm gonna say mine started in my early 20s. I knew from my mother and my grandparents that it sometimes is genetic through the family line. So it felt like I was like in Cuba, where it was really hot and misty and they were speaking Spanish. I was on a bus and we were up in the mountain climbing up. I've never been out of the country. And so I'm sitting in this bus with all these people, but I could understand the driver. The driver started screaming, "Everybody get down." And I saw the mother, because there was just gunshots throughout the bus. I saw a little girl's mother slump over her. She got hit. My body laid on top of the mother. I had to push her out of the way, and I laid on top of the daughter, the little girl. She was about 6 or 7, and I got hit 5 times. So when I lifted up, when the bus was just teetering, I lifted up, and she was the only one that did not get shot. Everybody else was just all over the place, right with everywhere. And so, yeah, I went hysterically to my mom, and my mom was like, "Well, there's going to be times when you do go in, and you don't even know what happens, but you know you did your job." And it usually starts around that age. I know my sons have it because they'll talk about bad dreams. I'm like, "They're not bad dreams." He's like, "Yes, but I'm tired of it." So, yeah, I always talk to my mom, and there was the first encounter of Jesus. I was in an old, like maybe 16th, 17th century museum art. It looks like it had been closed for a while. I was just walking through and observing some of these beautiful paintings. I heard a whimpering of a child. Little girl came to me, and I bent down. I said, I could tell she had like a long gown, the little bond, like 17th, 16th century clothing. And I didn't notice we were standing in front of a candle, just a hanging candle with the light, the flame. I didn't even recognize it till I bent down. I said, "Where did you come from?" I said, "I'm looking for my mommy." And we both just turned, and the flame of the candle became brighter until it was right in front of us. And the little girl just laughed and went with the light. I knew who it was. It was Jesus. I went to go touch him, and he faded back into the pitch, in the flame.
Wow.
I'm like, I woke up hysterical. My husband's like, "Okay, there's got to be a logic, why, let's ask my mom, my mother." And she's like, "Well, it wasn't, if you read the scriptures, you have an encounter. Whether it's an angel, they can physically wrap their body around you or whatever, but you cannot or will not be able to touch them, especially Jesus." So it just was, I thought he was denouncing me. That's what I thought. I was like, "Oh my God, please help me. What have I done?" And she was like, No. You couldn't touch him. It wasn't your time. If you listen to everybody's stories, not once have they said, "I encountered Jesus, but I never physically got to touch him." he's always stayed at a distance. And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, well, as I was saying, in this one home, it was my parents and me and my 3 children and my husband. It was a big house. It was an add-on, a whole studio apartment. I'm at home. It had a bedroom, a living room, bathroom. The only thing we shared was the kitchen. So we were back, me and my kids were in back there. And my father, we switched rooms because I was getting ready to have another baby. So we switched from we took the studio apartment. And my mom and him went into the middle room. I'm like, Dad, around 11:45-ish, the closet door's going to pop open. It won't pop open all the way, but you'll hear the door unlock and pop. Don't worry. We don't know who it is, but they love the kids because my father worked graveyard. And so he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, now that you're staying here in the room, my mom yells out, Jack Wiley, it is always the same thing. We know everywhere we go, something comes. And he started laughing. And he thought it was really pretty funny that I told him. And sure enough, he was off that night. And about 11:40, the closet door busted open. I said, there you go. And he's like, the closet door just opened. I'm like, I told you, because he kept making fun of this entity. That morning, I hear a knock on my door, and he's like, come here. And so I go in there, and my mom has these china plates that were stacked up in her counter. I'm in her bedroom. My mother had fallen asleep on the couch. These china sets were placed upside down in a tower at the foot of their bed, because they had one of those big California king beds. And he's like, I woke up and I saw that. Did you do this? I'm like, Dad, I said, there's something here. I said, it loves Tony, my oldest son, Tony. Every time I scold him, something gets thrown across the room at me. If I try to discipline him, like, oh, no, you can't do it, she'll get mad and break something. I told you. And I said, this one is strong. And she's connected to Tony. Then when I had the baby, my second son, he would sit and chat with her while I'm cooking breakfast or whatever. And so my dad was having a bad day, and he was just really like frustrated. And I'm like, Dad, you need to calm down. And sure enough, she threw it was one of my mom's salt and pepper shakers, and she threw it and missed his head about 3 inches. So I said, that's it, I'm going to the neighbor. Went next door, him, his wife, and the neighbor that bought the original home in the 60s, they were just sticks. So they were on the original foundation. I said, did somebody die in there? He's like, yes. Let me guess. You're having disturbance. A little more. I said, she gets violent when I'm scolding my son or my dad. I said, she's actually thrown things. And so he's like, yeah, that would be Sally. Husband, we were best friends. They never could have children. And when she had third stage colon cancer, they set up the middle room for her, and that's where she passed away. I'm like, oh, see, that was not in the freaking lease. You know? Yeah. So
it's supposed to be.
Yeah. It's what?
I said it's supposed to be. Whenever someone passes away, any kind of property, they're supposed to tell you. It's the law. It's crazy.
Exactly. But they were saying most likely because it wasn't on the lease that because they couldn't keep tenants staying there, the second owners. they didn't even stay there. They couldn't get rid of that property. And I said, they need to bulldoze it and let her go, you know, because she's connected to the house. She's connected. That way she can go home. And I told her, I said, I would talk to her. I'm like, I know you love my kids, but I'm the mama, you know. But yeah, it was a weird roller coaster. And sometimes, sometimes I'll look at someone and their face is disfigured. Now it doesn't startle me as much. And then a few seconds later, their face will come in focus. And of course, my mother would say, "Oh yeah, that's someone that does not do well with other people." No worries. But if you wanted to start the other conversation, topic, that what God shows me, I've even faced Satan in a different realm. And if it was not for my archangel and then my passive angel, I was actually having a heart fibrillation, had to be rushed to the ER. That's how bad I had to fight.
That's crazy. I'm glad. Oops, pocket dialed someone. I'm glad you're alive and you made it. So
thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show. We're going to swing over to the other room now. So everyone watching, you're more than welcome to come. Mrs. Hines is going to tell us about her rapture testimony, dream, whatever. So guys, just close out of this room and go to my channel and join the next show. And I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Okay?
You got it.
So thanks everyone for watching. Thank you guys
Nick.
for coming on, and hopefully I see you guys in the other show.